Hello friends, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and today I'm presenting for the Funky Junkie Boutique. So I'm using many of the new Sizzix dies from Tim Holtz to create my own ephemera. So again, I went wild this day and just had a blast making all this ephemera, and so I have a lot of it put away for future use. And I ended up creating that folder cover. So again, I started by using the Vintage Labels dies. So again, this was one of the first sets that I bought out of one of the newer releases. And so I ended up sticking them onto a sticky mat because I wanted to be able to run them through my Big Shot, and I knew I was making them in multiple colors. Lots of labels for future uses. So the first thing I did was I ended up using a brayer and putting embossing ink onto the labels. I read that someplace on a Facebook page, maybe the Tim Holtz Addicts Facebook page. But again, it said that would help your archival ink stick better, and in truth, it did. If you look at my blog, I've got a comparison photo. But for right now, I'm going ahead and using a second brayer and adding archival ink. And you can see that there is a little bit of color in the center of the labels, but I didn't worry about it too much because I knew I was going to be stamping over the top. And so I did labels with blue and brown and green and red. I had a blast. So again, here's how they came out after I ran them through my Big Shot machine. And you can see there's a little bit of color there in the center, but I didn't worry about it. So here's all the labels that I made. Some are done on Cougar Natural, and the rest of them are all on Craft, which I love, especially for fall stamping. So again, this is one of the stamp sets I'm going to use. And here is another one. The Field Notes stamp set is just perfect. So again, you can take your dies and kind of compare, what fits where before you start doing your stamping. So I thought that was pretty cool. I found several, including the Condemned, that I used. I also then selected the little branch on the lower left side from this holiday stamp set, and I'll list the number in my post below. So again, I'm just stamping a few of those, and then I ended up coloring the berries later on. You'll see that kind of in a few seconds here. I'll start coloring. But again, I'm stamping them, and you can see I used the tiny toadstool up there at the right. So this is another stamp from the Field Notes. So again, just kind of, just running through and making sure I've got them all stamped. You can see I've got quite a collection up at the left-hand side. So just working on stamping, adding to my collection. So here I pulled out my Copic markers and I'm coloring in the berries, and then I also ended up coloring the mushrooms so that I would have lots of color there on the different parts. So coloring the mushrooms. This was just so much fun. I love these tiny toadstools. And they fit perfectly in some of these labels. Aren't they cute? So still coloring the different colors. And again, I decided to make them brown so that they didn't really jump off the page too much. So got to add a little bit of grass there at the bottom to make the mushroom labels complete. But again, you can see how easy it is to create your own ephemera. And once you're going, you may as well do a bunch and put them away. Save it for later uses. So again, here's all of my stamped labels here. You can see there's different colors, and you can see the ones that I added the colors to. Lots of fun. I like the ones with the bluebirds. Those are cute. So again, just kind of showing you all the labels that I created. So the next thing I did was I grabbed the Sizzix collector die, and I wanted to make some of the slides with the numbers on them. So that was kind of my next project, so that I would have those to add to the front of my journal book. So again, I'm just taping some of the random numbers there. I cut them out, and that just kind of leaves the holes there with the numbers. Pretty cool. So I ended up using tea dye to go around the edges, and then I wanted to kind of age the slides by kind of dipping them in that distress ink there on my craft mat. So again, just kind of aging them. Then I pulled out this great funky foliage and funky florals. And these are ones that I had cut out and put in a plastic bag. Again, like I said, when I'm doing stuff, I just make extra. So I had all these already pre-made. And so I'm just kind of playing with, how do I organize, what do I want in my slides? And again, I wasn't sure how many I'd use on the front. I made 3 in kind of different colors and themes, and I ended up using all 3 of them on the front. So again, still just kind of playing with the arrangements. Look at all those cool flowers over there and the mushrooms. I love mushrooms. I think those are just cool. So again, just kind of still playing and arranging. And I left the flowers kind of hanging off the side on most of them. Just kind of, gives it a little more dimension. So again, here's kind of the choices I made. So the next thing I had to do was glue them all down. And then I also pulled out this, it's Eclectic CMS 448. And again, I wanted to use that as the background. I did not take any of the stamps out. I stamped up the entire thing. And I've got another piece of, this is actually the Nina Storm cardstock. So again, I'm just kind of rubbing it in here to get the color to come off. And look at how cool that came out. I thought that was really neat. And then I decided to kind of spray with some water, maybe to loosen it up a little bit, because the color's wick. And I just kind of took a paper towel and sopped up some of the additional distress ink. Loving that. So here is my cardstock journal that I borrowed from my husband. He brought it home from a meeting, and I thought, oh, I got a journal on this. So I ended up using collage medium, so we'll put the background on there first. And you'll see there I also have an envelope that was made, that came from the collectors, not the specimens. The slides came from the specimens die cut. But again, so I've got all kinds of stuff here, so I am just kind of working through and adding it on. And you can see there I did make that envelope using Backdrops Volume 3. I just thought that was kind of a fun piece. So again, we're just kind of gluing here. There's some of those mushroom. I told you I like the mushrooms. There's that condemned piece. So again, you can kind of see this has a very rustic appearance. So we'll just kind of keep gluing here. And then there's where I added those slides. And again, that came out of the Sizzix Specimen die set. And the funky florals and the funky foliage. So again, I got all those guys on there. And then at the last minute, I decided to add a butterfly out of one of my ideology field notes pack. So again, this is Terry with Terry's Mailbox presenting for The Funky Junkie. I'm on Instagram, Blogger, Facebook, and YouTube, and I'd love to have you come and follow.